Now, warning, okay? This video is not about creating absence just to manipulate people or hurt people. That's how you go straight to hell. This is more of a encouragement, right? To allow absence to do the dirty work for you. Learn to not look like you are applying these strategies, okay? So what do I mean by that? I mean that the only weapon a woman ever needs to exert some form of control, passive or direct, in a way that's healthy and in a way that's toxic, is usually just absence. You gotta understand, absence is a man's kryptonite. Men don't like not having you around. In fact, it's to such a degree that even studies show that when you are physically absent from a man, he produces more sperm, people. Yeah, that's right. These are sperms, ladies and gentlemen. He produces more, hopefully it doesn't get demonetized, but yeah, it produces more of that. Why? Well, because evolutionarily back then, if you were away from your woman, you didn't know if she cheated. And because everyone lived in a homogenous culture, everyone looked the same, right? Everyone looked like Bob the programmer. You didn't have Tyrone, the fucking personal trainer, in the corner banging your girl, the baby comes out black and you're like, you cheated. No, because everyone looked the same. So even if she cheated, you didn't know whether or not she cheated. So the brain, evolution created a mechanism in the guy that if he is away from you for a certain amount of time, the brain, the body produces 2 or 3 times more sperm than before. There's a book called Sperm War, and it talks about how it does that so that when the next time he has sex with you, he's able to, because remember the penis is shaped like a fucking, like a shovel. So when it thrusts, it's just thrusting, but when it thrusts out, it thrusts out any sperm with this area that might be inside. So it's like you put it in, and then like a fucking, like a Hitler for sperm, it removes all the other sperm. So what that strategy is used to prevent you having a child that's not yours and raising it, right? To prevent cockroach. So what the body does is that it just produces more sperm. So what does that mean? Well, he finds you more physically attractive, right? Biologically, he'll want to be closer to you. Go inside, shoot the club, bring out the hostages, kill them all, in the hopes to prevent unwanted pregnancy and prevent. Fuck, I'm trying to find out how to say it. In order to increase paternity certainty. So that's one thing, people. Chastity. It triggers a desire, a man's desire to make sure that you're not being with somebody else, okay? So it triggers his desire to protect you, right? And to monopolize you. Now, the problem with this is that it's flattering at first because toxic people, toxic men, will masquerade their care. Will masquerade the desire for control for care. So you got to be careful with that. There are some limits to it, right? If a guy's healthy and you create distance in the beginning, he'll feel insecure, but he won't act on it. He'll act like nothing happened. But you'll notice that when you meet him, there's more anxiety. When you meet him, he has more of an urge to be with you. A man who's toxic, when you pull away and he felt insecure, what you'll notice is that he'll be subtly pissed off at you, right? This is a toxic dude. He'll be pissed off at you. The next time you see him, he'll be pissed off at you. And the reason why that is because he couldn't control his emotions when you weren't around. And he blames you for that. That's a sign of a guy that you shouldn't be with. If he gets mad, or you can see visibly that he's mad or gets avoidant, gets distant because of your absence, get away from that guy, right? Now, the next one is it introduces new emotions. So what does that mean? What that means is that when you're absent, in the person's presence, emotions become stale. Even the way you look becomes stale. In other words, when you first see people, they have the same sensation that new clothes have, where it feels new. But over time, the clothes get stale. And it causes you to not see the beauty in the clothes as it were before. It loses its vibrancy. What's happening there is that it's like water becoming lukewarm. right? My perception of you becomes lukewarm. So any feelings that I may feel for you, if feelings of love are being developed inside because of the staleness, because of the consistent presence, and man won't be able to perceive the changes of how he feels about you. It's kind of like when you're raising a kid, right? When you're raising a kid, you may not notice he's growing up, but other people notice it. This is what I'm talking about. Whenever you create, when you pull away, you start to see things as they are. Whenever you see something consistently, you stop seeing it as they are. It's to the point that if you're a painter and you're painting something, sometimes it's better to just look at something else for like 30 minutes and then go back to your painting, and you see your painting in a new light, or you see it as it is, right? So the more you see something, the more you stop seeing it for what it is. You start projecting. You start to get bored. Your natural tendency to not appreciate the good things starts to take over. So that's why you need distance. If you feel like they're getting used to you, if you feel like they're not appreciating you, you need to introduce new emotions by pulling away, Jesus. So yeah, remember, it sort of introduces new emotions. So if he was developing love for you and you've been around him for 30 days straight, the only way for him to realize the changes inside of his heart or stomach, whatever, is to pull away. Think about it. Whenever you're alone, new emotions come up. For example, when I go to meditation retreats, it's the hardest things about meditation retreats is confronting your emotions. And it's really difficult because it really feels scary. Scary from a place of anxiety because you're like, fuck, I'm gonna have to be bored here all day. And what happens is that you're just sitting there, you're noticing like thoughts become more intense. Like when you're alone, your thoughts become really intense. Anxieties arise. Even your naps have more symbolic meaning. And and the way spirituality feels is that emotions become heavy. Like there's a heaviness or even a sadness whenever you're having a real spiritual experience. And so this is what happens, is that your absence causes him to have to regulate his emotions. But most people don't know how to do that. They depend on other people to regulate their emotions. So what will happen is that if he doesn't choose this route, he'll choose the route of controlling you. So if he is a healthy person, your absence helps him grow. Well, come on, man. Most likely he's not a healthy person. So what he'll do is that he'll try to get your validation. So he'll call or text you. Why? Because he doesn't know how to control his emotions with his own mind, which is why it's good to go to meditation retreats, because if you're actually a needy person, this is literally what happens. Is that, okay, I'm gonna make her a girl. All right, there you go. Now she's a chick, okay? Trans now, perhaps. So he can't regulate his emotions, so they come to you. So, for example, when I go to meditation retreats, one of the things that happens is that you start to think about the heartbreaks a lot, or even wanting to leave. Like, for example, like I remember one time I usually don't leave retreats, but I went to a volunteering thing like a few months ago, and something happened with this girl that I was dating, and it just fucked me up emotionally, and I left. Like, which is rare for me to leave. Like, I rarely do that. And that was because I chose not to control my emotions. I wanted to control the situation. I wanted to control the situation so that I could feel better. And I couldn't control the situation. I was like, fuck you, idiot, you should have stayed, right? But yeah, so remember, it introduces new emotions. And when those emotions, when he can't regulate it, you know what happens when he can't regulate it? Now you regulate it. Now you have control over him. Now you have all of the leverage over him, which means that he'll be more submissive to you. Or, which is, now I don't want you guys to do that, or he'll show you and tell you how he feels. This creates like a pressure inside of his heart, like a pressure thing, right? Jesus Christ, people, this is there you go, like a pressure thing. The water is bubbling, this is the fire, right? The emotions will cause emotions to just bubble out. And the reason why is because you're not allowing him to regulate his emotions through controlling you. Get what I'm saying? So if you want him to have no control over himself, it's pretty much in your absence. But remember, if he is toxic, he'll verbally, physically, or some way try to guilt you, control you, gaslight you, try to make you jealous. And if he's healthy, he'll find a way to regulate his own emotions, right? Another thing I want to say is that in your absence, it triggers him to give you what you want. Oh no, to give you what he can. Meaning, he may not give you the relationship, but he'll give you everything that he can. And that will show you his intentions. Because if he doesn't love you and you're absent and he wants to see you, but he doesn't want to give you a relationship, then it shows you the limits. It reveals to you the nature of how he feels about you. He won't directly tell you with his words, but he'll tell you because whenever he's feeling the most desire to be with you, whatever he gives you is what he feels about you. So he might say, let's go on vacation. Okay, he loves you enough to go on vacation, but he may not say he wants to be in a relationship. He may not love you there. You gotta realize people have limits, man. This is like marriage, relationship, friends with benefits, hanging out, right? He might love you here. You might create absence. It might increase it to this, but it's never gonna make him want marriage. It's never gonna make him want a relationship. It'll just make him want a tiny bit more than what he's already giving you. And once you validate him, he'll go back to normal. And that's not a bad thing. What that tells you is what you want to know, what's in his mind. You know, it triggers people so much that it literally becomes a way to read a person's mind, if you know how to do that. And if you don't get, if you don't get caught up with him showing you something so you take it. Like, no, like, just because he's giving you something doesn't mean you want that. So yeah, the dark side. So when you pull away, that's when you see a person's dark side. Because remember, the dark side comes out, it's more so for control. The dark side is developed as a way to control your situation, as a way to give you some sense of almost like to make you believe that you're a good person without really showing you your true nature. Humans don't like thinking they're bad. Whenever you're absent, you can see whether or not he's a jealous prick. You can see whether or not he gets super needy, because dark side can also be needy emotions. You can see whether or not he's an aggressive person. But if you're always present, you can never see the dark side. Oh, and while we're on the dark side, another way that the dark side comes out is when you're fully committed or when they know you can't leave, right? So it comes out when they have full control over you, right? Remember, dark side comes out when they have full control and when they lack control. That's why I tell people, power and powerlessness both corrupt people because they bring out the same side in people, right? Now, the next thing that it does is that you're able to see a man's attachment style. How people react, Jesus Christ, how people react to absence is a reflection. So if you pull away just a little bit, he feels like maybe you're never gonna leave, or he starts acting dramatic and say, oh, you're pulling away, blah, 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 blah. Then guess what? He might have a fear of abandonment. If you pull away, he misses you, but then when you get back, he's ambivalent or distant. I forgot what that's called. I think I call that a dismissive, ambivalent attachment style. But if you pull away, he tells you he misses you, and when you come back, he still shows you love, then he might be a positively or securely attached person. You could tell a lot about a person's flaw in their absence. But another thing that it does for you, at least, is that it illuminates your eyes. Meaning the distance allows you to also process him, allows you to see whether or not you want to be with him, allows you to see whether or not this is good or bad for you. Sometimes we make decisions out of presence, meaning they're so there that they influence our rational thinking. When they get away from us, we start thinking more clearly. It's like when you're around toxic people, the only solution for toxic groups or people is literally distance. It's like in school, right? You don't care what people think about you, but when you're in school, you do. Right? There's always like a freedom you experience when you're away from them. That's because physical presence has an effect on your psychology. And if you're somebody that doesn't know whether or not you're being influenced by the group or you're being manipulated by the group, that's why you need distance. Distance allows you to see what's going on, allows you to see what they're doing to you in their presence, right? Now, the next thing that it does is that it not only it illuminates your eyes, but it also gives you space to grow. Gives you and him space to grow as people, right? Like I said, when you're absent, he's really pissed off, right? Actually, fuck it, let's make him angrier. Fuck it, he's so angry, he's crying. Yo, when he cries because of anger, he's toxic, right? That's a red sign, red flag. So yeah, it gives you space to grow. So when you're absent and all he does is get mad, then you know what that tells you? The guy's not gonna grow as a person. Because his negative experience, negative emotions doesn't drive him to regulate it, it drives him to control you. But also the absence allows you to grow as a person. Sometimes you need to do things on your own to be better together. Sometimes you need to do things without him to grow as a couple. But when you do everything together, you can't grow as a couple, right? So if he's somebody that can't grow, that depends on people, that has no sense of identity, pulling away will reveal that. It'll reveal that this person doesn't have a growth mindset. And so you should stay away from people like that. You gotta be able to be with people who wanna be with you, but also know how to not be with you. You know, because there's too many codependent relationships that in reality are all toxic. Like, you need distance, but not so much distance. You need presence, but not so much presence. And in order for you to find that beautiful balance, you have to be able to be away for a prolonged period of time to find that balance. For every relationship is different, you know what I mean? So remember, absence does the dirty work for you. Absence introduces new emotions. Absence allows you to sense the person's security. Absence allows you to see their shadow side. Absence allows you to see whether or not they truly love you. Absence allows you to see at what extent do they like you. Absence allows you to see him more clearly, but also allows him to grow. Absence allows you to see his dark side, his insecurities. It allows you to see whether or not he's a toxic person. Then why the fuck are you not creating absence? Why are you always so around? Do this not as a coping mechanism for your own emotion. Do this as a way to keep a healthy relationship healthy. If your relationship cannot withstand few prolonged absences, it's not healthy, all right? Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys wanna work with me one-on-one, go to mindfulattraction.org. Don't forget we're having 50% off all of our courses using the coupon code MINDFUL. And don't forget 20% off all of my one-on-one sessions with the coupon code MINDFUL. I recommend you guys check out that course, Superwoman or the Feminine Woman. It's pretty much like a self-help course for women. Like if you want to learn how to set and achieve your goals, how to meditate, how to manifest, I could show you that in that course. I have the Psychological Game of Attraction. It's a course for women who are single. Natural Chemistry, a course for women who are in relationship. And Emotional Mastery, which is a course on how to control your emotions. Or you could purchase them all by purchasing the bundle and get 50% off that bundle on top of the discount that it gets, okay? So do that now or else I'm closing the channel.